Years we've been waiting for this opportunity to go back to Porterville for another event. There's nothing like the sight and sound of a rally car being driven on the limit, is it, Cliff?
Good evening, Patrick, and good evening to the listeners. I really like the intro video, but it's also sad. I won't be there this weekend, so it actually makes it just harder. But that's life, they say, right? But we're excited for this weekend.
We've been having a problem just having this program on air because my host is forever traveling somewhere. So great to have you on air tonight. Welcome back.
Yeah, no. Thanks, man. It's great to be back in South Africa, and it's again, Cape Town is definitely a good place to stay. But let's get into the rally for tonight, right? I think there's a lot of people watching, a lot of enthusiasm, especially under the difficult circumstances, lockdown, reinforcements or constraints has been applied against on Sunday. So let's handle this rally with care and be responsible. But let's get into the discussion about Saturday coming.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, load shedding is another factor we've got to take in consideration. I don't know how long you're going to see me before I get cut off, and then we'll have to grab a cell phone. Apparently, our guests are having similar problems. I'm hoping they're in the background with Byron already, so we can call on them to join us in studio. But as everybody knows, this is going to be the CPMCC, which is the second oldest rally club in South Africa. Fortunately, Billy's not that old, but let's start then with Billy. Let's introduce our guest. Billy Thorpe, you're the man organizing, so show your face.
Hi, Patrick. Thanks. This is from organizing rallies.
Well, you normally get that on the top.
It's fun there as well. So.
And the man in the dark here, we have to greet Silver Falcon leader, Major Sivuyile Tangana. Welcome to you as well, sir.
Thanks, Patrick.
I trust you. You do not do any air shows in darkness.
No. Fortunately not. Yeah, as you saw, the power just tripped, and I think the generator just kicked in here by us.
Fantastic. So at least you got some light on the subject tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, and our third guest there is looking a bit worried there. I don't know why, but welcome to Dipsy, or should that be Mark Palmer?
Evening, everybody.
I'm Mark.
Mark, Teletubbies. They're normally a friendly bunch. You don't look too friendly tonight. What's up?
I'm always friendly. I'm the friendliest guy you know. Didn't you know that?
And in the background with me, you'll see a Pilatus aircraft with two funny pilots in it. That relates to a visit to the Garden Route, or better known to ralliers as the Grootvoel Paradise. And the other guest we're supposed to have on the program tonight is unfortunately with his head under the bonnet. He's broken it again. So Etienne Malherbe will unfortunately not be able to join us on air tonight. But we have enough to keep us busy for a long, long time. And I'd like to start off with Major Tangana.
Yes.
Tell us more about Team 84 and the return of the Silver Falcons again. The pandemic has played havoc everywhere, not only in motorsport, also in aviation.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Thank you for having me, and really welcome to the viewers who are watching us, I'm sure, or from all over the world. Yeah, it is. We're still living the effects of COVID-19. With the third wave that's coming up again, it is still amongst us, and the air show and aviation has really, I think, been part of the industry that has taken a direct knock from the COVID-19. Yeah, we're still struggling to get air shows because everything goes about numbers at air shows. And, you know, the bigger the crowd, the more value for money it is for the sponsors as well as the event organizers. So the past, I'd still say the past 2 years have been really tough in the aviation, especially in the air show circuit. So slowly but surely, we're trying to get back into the swing of things, which has also affected us in terms of air show displays and participations. So the event like Saturday is really a fresh of breath air for aviation, where we can go and showcase our skills. And it's always nice, you know, you practice in Langebaan, you do practice. There's no one really out there watching and spectating. I take it also in the racing industry as well. You know, it's been what can I say? They've taken a knock, and it's always nice to have an event like that's coming up on Saturday for the guys to get back into the swing of things and really get, you know, to showcase their skill.
Unfortunately, this weekend sees a bit of a change of plan. You guys are stuck in Pretoria for various reasons. That's the main formation of 4 aircraft. But you have some good news, though. It's not all bad news.
Yes. Unfortunately, we would have loved to have the full complement of the team at Thorpe this weekend. But unfortunately, due to Air Force commitments, we were deployed to Pretoria for the past 2 weeks. It was initially meant to be only 1 week, and then it got extended by another week. We're participating in the Chief of the Air Force parade, which is happening this Friday. And we're only ferrying back to the West Coast on Saturday, which makes it a very difficult commit, especially we would definitely not make the Monday morning display. And this Saturday is also, the afternoon might be, depending on where we are during the flight back to Langebaan. So we have another display pilot who remained behind in Langebaan, who will do both displays on Saturday. And I've spoken to him. He is eager and he's hungry to come and showcase the capability of the aircraft.
Well, that's great news for us. And of course, wings and wheels go together. No matter if you love aeroplanes, you love cars, and the other way around. But the good news is that, and I don't want to jump the gun here, but no chance of possibly seeing you guys do a fly past on the way back?
I knew he was going to ask that.
Are really putting me on the spot. Yes. Like I said, let's see how things go. I'm not putting my money on the block as yet, but I've got a complement of 10 aircraft with me here in Pretoria at the moment. So, and it might just, I'm holding thumbs for the weather to play along. If the weather does play along, we might, please don't quote me, we might make it via Portugal. And I mean, 10 aircraft to come and say hi to the guys of Portugal would be something spectacular.
Absolutely.
So, yes. Yeah.
Now let's.
Okay.
I'd like to take on some background on the team now, and please introduce yourself, position, and the other members of the new team. Team 84, it is.
Yes. Okay. So I'm the current leader of the team, flying in the number 1 position. The aircraft that you got in your background is actually one of our Silver Falcon aircraft, which is no longer red and white. It was painted in the blue and white colors of the Silver Falcons. So I'm the leader of the team. The number 2 position would be Major Pule Maloka, who will be doing the display on Saturday for you guys, both displays. And in the number 3 position, I've got Major Kabelo Maleka. And then that's guy on the left wing. And in the number 4 position, I've got Major Malokane, who is also the solo display pilot. So the team has gone through quite a bit of changes in the last 2 years, where we had a full complement of 5 guys, and with COVID, guys having to move on, so it made it very difficult to train up a new team and get guys up and running before the previous team left. So under normal circumstances, the team would be a 5-ship display, but because this is a fairly young team, we are starting again. We're in the rebuilding phase, so 4-ship. Once everybody is comfortable in the position, then we introduce a 5th member in the flying position. So yeah, it is a very young team, except for myself, who's been in the team for quite some time. So yeah, that's the team, and then our ground liaison officer / PRO, who is in charge of all our social media, merchandise selling, putting the team out there. So that's Lieutenant Kwacha. So yeah, that's the complement of the team we've got at the moment. But looking towards the later part of the year, we should have a 5th member as part of the flying team.
Everybody listening to us tonight can relate to the atmosphere and the camaraderie and the challenges of being in a rally car, where a driver and navigator depend on each other to achieve wonderful results. You guys are a little bit different. There's one person per aeroplane, but communication is absolutely critical. Put us in the cockpit and tell us how important is that communication and how do you do it? Because at the end of the day, I would assume that the less you say with the most impact would be the best way to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. We go through a quite a thorough and vigorous briefing before any flying event, be it a practice or display. So we brief from the time we sign the aircraft books. So before you can fly, you have to go through the books and see that everything is serviceable and everything is within working order in the aircraft. So we brief from the time we accept the aircraft that, okay, the aircraft is serviceable, I can go out and go fly. So we brief from that, walk out, and we brief the whole sequence of events, what to expect at this given time. So everybody knows what they are required at any given time. And then me being the lead, I generally give out all the commands, and the guys just act on what I tell them. And my responsibility as the team leader is to ensure that firstly, we do the display at the right place and taking our crowd or spectators' safety into account. And then thirdly, but also looking at my team members, that we execute the job safely, but also precisely as we had briefed and practiced in the past. It's always nice to have someone else to fly with you as a navigator, but unfortunately for the type of work we do, it is a single pilot operation where there's really a second person. There's not much work for them to do because you're a team leader who runs the show, if I can put it that way, and everybody else just executes what they have to do at a given time. And we cover that explicitly through the briefing, and then we come back, we reflect, on what we could have done right, what went wrong, and we build on that for the next time.
I have to touch on two elements of what you just said. One, you are the leader, you're the eyes of the team, and everybody else are glued to your aeroplane. In other words, you fly into something, they follow suit.
Yes.
That's a huge amount of trust to have, and it must take a while to build that trust and truly commit to something of that nature.
No, it does. It is something. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day that, I'm sure the Rally Oaks, these are speeds they can only dream of. And on our first aerobatic maneuver, we're doing in excess of 550 kilometers an hour. So things happen very quickly. And if you miss a checkpoint, that could lead to you either flying to the ground or flying into your spectators. And like you said, the guys are glued to my aeroplane. And if they miss their chase or their point, that could spell a disaster in the air. So everybody knows exactly what is expected of them. And myself being the leader, there's a big responsibility on my shoulder to ensure that firstly my team members buy in and believe in me as they lead, but also that I execute everything as per book. And if the situation changes, I inform them timelessly, and we have a plan B. Say, okay, we couldn't do this. Let's stop. Let's go and reset.
The other element I want to touch on is when you look at the formation, it's poetry in motion. It really is beautiful to see you guys fly in close formation, and look at that photograph. It's absolutely beautiful. But at the end of the day, then you go on to the soloist who looks like a hooligan let loose, but it's all within in very, very serious parameters. In other words, even though he looks out of control, those are practiced and controlled maneuvers all the time. The good news for us at the rally is we're getting the hooligan on Saturday because he's going to be the one pushing the envelope.
Oh, for sure. It's flying information is awesome. It's beautiful for the spectators and for the crowd, because some of the maneuvers that we perform, you'll find that there's the oohs and the ahs and the wow. It's remarkable. But when you start flying the aircraft on your own, then you can really push the envelope, to stay within the operating envelope of the aircraft, but you can really put some daring maneuvers of which people think that, listen, that guy is about to crash, and that's what people like, to say, listen, yay, this guy. I've heard some of the young spectators saying that I fly the plane like crazy a couple of times when I used to be a solo display. So it is really an awesome, and I asked the solo display, listen, give the people of Porterville what they came to see, except crashes. Except crashes. You get some people who listen, they want to see things crash.
Oh.
Be it racing cars, they want to see an accident, and like, listen, we're not going that route.
We prefer you staying in one piece and just look spectacular up there.
Yes.
Just you said within limits, but those limits are quite extreme compared to what we experience in a rally car. And just explain to the listeners the effects and the limitations on GForces, please.
Yeah, GForces are essentially your gravitational forces that you experience. So when you fly an aeroplane, the harder or tighter you pull on the if I use the term stick. So if you pull towards your body, you increase the gravitational forces that you experience. And in this aircraft, we can increase it by as much as 6 times. So if you pull, the harder you pull, if you, for example, weigh 100 kilogram, you can pull up to 6 G, what's what it's called. and that your apparent weight increases by 6 times. So you will feel like you weigh 600 kilograms. And on the opposite scale, if you push forward in the stick, you then go into the negative Gs, and that you can take it up to a maximum of negative 2 Gs. So from weighing 100 kilogram, you push forward in the stick, you divide by your G-force, by your weight by -2. So you go from weighing 100 kilogram to weighing 50 kilogram. And that has its effects on the body as well. You'll generally find the guys after flying, if you've been pulling too hard, you'll find that your eyes become, you start bursting arteries, you become red.
Sure.
And those are the things. And you find you got straps, because we are flying an ejection seat. You've got these harnesses that come, I'm sure the rally cars as well. The guys are strapped in. So you find that your shoulders have got these red lines running from the strap, from the ejection seat straps. So you're operating on the absolute envelope of the aircraft.
Yeah. If I may, Major Tangana, how many years does it take to get to the level that you guys are at now, or what's the process? Because you mentioned that it's a young team, but if I listen in terms of
Yes.
the amount of skill that you need to have, you need to obviously have a certain amount of flying time. That's the first one. And then also the second one, talking about Gs, how fit do you need to be to take that amount of Gs all the time?
Okay, so to become a Falcon member, you need to be a fully fledged instructor at Langebaan. And you're looking at in the region between 6 to 10 years before you come to Langebaan and start flying as an instructor. So it is quite a lengthy period. But because it is a lengthy period, because there are safety elements that you need to build up the experience of the flying experience. You don't just take a young lady from the street and you put him in an aircraft and off you go. Unfortunately, our mistakes in and I think in the rally as well, a tiny mistake results in death. Someone's going to lose their life. Could be you, or it could be a spectator. So so you need to be a bit more mature. So you're looking at a region of anything between 6 to 10 years to be a fully fledged instructor, and then you can be. And then you come and do a flying test, of which, if you're successful, then you can be a trained member of the Falcons. And what was the second question? I just missed that one again.
In terms of the fitness, how much training do you need? How often do you guys train, and what regime does it take?
No. You have to be fit. Like I've explained to you, the GForces involved. So you have to maintain a certain level of fitness. I think most of our guys, besides that the flying medicals we do on a yearly basis, most of the guys are quite physically fit. I'm a cyclist, and that's my niche.
Oh, okay.
So besides the flying, I cycle quite a bit, because that also affects your performance in flight. And there's strict weight restrictions that you need to stick within, and if you're outside of those weight limits, you're not going to fly. You just can't get into the aeroplane.
If I may chip in there, according to the topic of weight limits, the ejection seat has a weight limit on it. We can touch on that now. But what I would like you to explain to the listeners or viewers is the fact that you guys are not full-time aerobatic pilots. You are actually flight instructors at Central Flying School Langebaan. And this is a part-time activity that you actually do outside normal working hours.
Yes. Yeah, as Patrick said, this is something that, if I can call it our bread and butter, is to give flight instruction in Langebaan. So Langebaan VAF, the school that's there, that trains all the pilots for the South African Air Force. And we've had also Air Forces from outside our borders who brought their students to come and train by us. So I always say this: 7 to 4. That's when we do our the core business, which is training of students. And then either we go fly early in the morning or late in the afternoon. That's where we get to do our practice and do our training for the Silver Falcons. And generally weekends, that's when we do all the displays and so our core business is to give instruction, train up new pilots for the South African Air Force, and then this is it's all voluntary stuff that we do after hours.
Okay. So in summary, Major Tangana, you're actually a rallyist by all rights. We also do this as a part-time hobby, early morning, late night, weekends. So yeah, we all have the same.
It just costs us a lot of money. That's the big difference.
Same adrenaline rush.
Well, at some time or the other, I think we should invite the guys down to come and see what rallying is about, and maybe take them out and see whether those GForces affect them in rally cars as well.
The last time we tried one of those, I remember a guy tried to push the car so fast, and you were like, remember, if we roll this car, then I need to go back to work. No, honestly, I'm holding on for dear life because the first thing that comes to mind is if we crash, I'm going to lose my flying medical, because if I go back to work as a listener, I was involved in an accident. Listen, okay, let's go for a scan. Let's first start checking your head. Have you suffered any concussions and stuff like that? So yes, as nice as it might be, but our career is very it's very cutthroat. There's guys who've had motorbike accidents, cycling accidents, others who've stopped playing rugby because just a minor accident, they go for a scan and they're like, listen, you can't fly anymore.
Yeah.
So it is a very delicate career.
Well, please, we can't put names to the maneuvers we try and do in rally cars. Mark can explain what it feels like to roll one at 200 k's an hour, but you also do rolls. But please give us some description, or give the viewers some description, and name the individual maneuvers that are involved in your show, from a team perspective, and possibly even some of those interesting maneuvers that the soloists will be doing on Saturday.
Oh, okay. So So in some of the high G or high impact maneuvers that you'll see on Saturday, the first of all would be the loop. That is probably the fastest the aircraft into the loop will be the fastest the aircraft will be going. You're looking at just under 600 k's an hour. That's the first maneuver he'll be doing. Pulling up for GForces in the region of 4 to 5 G. So when I say 4 to 5 G, that is take the body weight, multiply it by the GForces. So multiply it between 4 and 5 G. And then the next one is what we call your inverted barrel roll. Now that's an uncomfortable maneuver. Really, as nice as it looks to the spectator, we are really experiencing G-forces. You've got blood rushing from your feet and all the way to your head. So the chances of you seeing, a readout is as you pull G-forces, then all of a sudden you start pixelating and it seems like blood is rushing to your head, and you start seeing everything is in red. And then one of the other maneuvers is the I can hear some in the background. One of the maneuver is it's going to be the makes return to the left, and during that time you might hear the guy huffing and puffing over the radio. Hopefully, Patrick, they'll have radio comms with it, and you can hear as the guy is breathing, because he has to test up his core muscles, and as he squeezes the G-forces, you'll hear him breathing frantically in and out, and that is just forcing the blood out of the brain to the legs. Otherwise, the chances of him passing out are quite real. And it looks impressive for the spectator, but man, it's uncomfortable for the pilot.
Please explain something to us. If you look at the other international teams, like the Blue Angels, they actually don't fly with G suits. Is there a specific reason for that, or is that a choice team from team to team?
For me, I would say it's the same as rally racing. Do you want to fly with a helmet, or you don't want to fly with a helmet? The choice is yours. The repercussions after.
I want to know, what is a G suit?
G suit is it's like a cowboy suit. It's like a cowboy suit you wear around your legs and waist. So as you pull the G's, as you pull harder on the aircraft in order to tighten the turret, what happens is your blood rushes from your legs, starts coming up to your upper body. Sure. So and then what this does is it squeezes against on your leg as well as your core muscle. So it restricts the blood leaving your lower limbs at a rapid rate. So that's the aim of the G suit. So, and like I said, people want to be hardcore. You can go rally racing without a helmet, but is that the best procedure? Is that the best way of operating? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So, I don't think there's any opportunity to take passengers with you, right?
You thought I was pushing it.
In all honesty, this is not a Kulula or SAA flight. And I think the same can be said about a rally car race. You don't have a leather Recaro reclining seat. Our ejection seats are incredibly uncomfortable. They are hard, and once you're in the ejection seat, we strap you. You are strapped in, and it is near impossible to move around in the seat. But secondly, we've the manner in which we fly, for an average person who is not a paying customer, doesn't have much to say on how we fly. So you can't come and comment that, listen, the landing was hard or the takeoff was too steep. So it's impressive to see in the air, but if you're not used to it, we've had guys, well, let's put it this way: they've left their breakfast or last night's supper.
A last topic to cover quickly as far as the aircraft is concerned. We'd love to go into the performance figures of the aircraft, and we've got to get to rallying as well.
Yeah.
Something I would like to ask you is if you could explain why there's a weight limit on that seat, and what does the term 060 seat entail?
Okay, so. Oh yeah, so the weight limit, because the ejection seat is literally, like I said to you, it's not the most comfortable seat you'd find. I think I always compare it to the seat we've got in our aircraft is similar to that of a tricycle. These kiddies tricycle, it is hard, it is uncomfortable, but it is your indication of an emergency. It's what's going to save you to leave the aeroplane very quick. So the seat itself, you are literally sitting on, there's 8 rockets underneath you, which if they have to be fired up, if you have to eject, within 1.25 seconds later, from the time you pull the handle, you are going to be hanging on your parachute. So it's incredible the amount of G-forces that you experience on exit. But there's a weight limit on those rockets. So if a guy is above the weight of 102 kilograms, you will pull the ejection handle. The only expression that's going to change is expression in your face. Because those rockets, there's 8 of them, but they're not going to get you out. So yeah. It's going to be like firing a dud. You pull the handle, nothing happens. And then that's when you start praying in tongues. So that's why there's a weight limit on the seat, because anything above that, it is not guaranteed that you are going to escape from the aircraft.
Sure.
And the 060 element?
Oh, sorry, the 060. So you need to be firstly, you need to meet the weight criteria, and the most ejection seats at the moment are zero. They're called 00 seats. So you don't have to have. You can be on the ground, 0 speed. You can pull the ejection handle, and it's going to propel you out of the aircraft, and you are guaranteed a safe ejection. So our aircraft is 060, still part of the oldest generation. You need to be, if you're at 0 feet, meaning you're on the runway, you need to have a minimum speed of 60 knots and above in order to escape successfully. Okay, so and 60 knots for us, that's about 138 kilometers. And then that's not even our takeoff speed. So we're still under takeoff speed at 60 knots. So you need to have those, you need to meet those parameters in order to eject safely. Doesn't mean you're going to land safely, but you will get out of the airplane. You'll get out of the airplane and your parachute will open. The problem is, it's not about just getting out of the aircraft. You need forward speed in order to open up the parachute.
Major.
I hope Patrick has got one for the weekend. 0 seat. I must phone it.
I think, Mark, they need to start looking at ejection seats for the rally cars, eh? It just
thank you very much.
Yeah, it just might be a problem for the rally cars, because everything is about weight, their weight restriction.
Why are you looking at us when you're saying that, mate?
Yeah.
No. I'm saying Mark this year, yeah.
No, we appreciate your comments, and we appreciate the background information. You always see these aeroplanes, and you want to ask these questions and never get the opportunity. So we are really looking forward to seeing your soloists in action on Saturday. We hope that somewhere in the future we'll see them as a team again. You're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the program, or I don't know if pilots are supposed to sleep early as well, but I do wish you all the success for this week for the fly past, and well, we're going to keep our thumbs up and hope that we're going to have that large formation pass by closely as well.
No, thanks very much, Patrick. I'd love to stay on, but we have got load shedding and we're running on a generator here. So, and I still need to do a bit of planning for tomorrow, because we're flying tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. So I just need to get some planning while I still have some battery life left. It's not guaranteed that my electricity will be back at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We've got the Teletubbies to keep us entertained for the rest of the program.
Okay. No, thanks very much.
That was fascinating.
Thank you, Major.
Yeah.
Mark, unfortunately, it looks like you're stuck with us for the rest of the program.
Hey, what can I say?
Well, you are one half of the Teletubbies. Now, for the benefit of the viewers that haven't ever come across the Teletubbies other than on TV with the Kiddies program, tell us, who was the Teletubbies?
So, Thorsten Pai was the driver, and I was the navigator. And we rallied from...
No.
Oh, those Teletubbies.
You are starting wrong already.
I'm too old for those Teletubbies.
No. Tell us, Thorsten Pai, which Teletubby was he?
He
The
was
yellow one.
He was the red one. No, he's the red one.
And you?
I was Dipsy. This was all your fault. I think you were the one who gave us these names anyway.
Too late to complain now. And the Teletubbies was transported by
what car?
Yeah.
We had a BMW, an E36 325i BMW, and we had lots of fun. And there was a real Teletubby strapped to the back who was hanging on for dear life the whole time.
And a very interesting logo on the back of the car, which read?
Having fun, having a ball. That's what it's all about. If you're not doing this for fun, then what are you doing it for?
Absolutely.
Like Clint said, we're all volunteering and doing it, for, as for fun. So that's what it's about.
We're all half mad, Mark.
Yeah, it's not an essential to be crazy when you go rallying, but it does help.
It does help. I always wanted to know by Mark and by Thorsten. So, unfortunately, on the last event, and I think it was Caledon when they rolled that BMW through the farmer's land, and the pole came right through the windscreen. I think we were the first or second car after the roll. I sat for Clinton Sassman, right? And that pole missed both of them, and it must have hit the Teletubby in the back of that car.
That was scary. That was in 2011.
Ah, there's it. You got the picture.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, there it is. There, yeah. So we had a steering linkage broke, and we'd been through the stage once. It was the second run, and we were coming into a left-hand turn, and that fence that you saw in the picture was, we couldn't make the turn. I originally, after thought, well, what happened? Why didn't you turn the bloody corner, to Thorsten? But the steering linkage had broken, and we went right through the fence and stopped, and we were okay, so okay. And then there was this pole as it's lying there in front, through the windscreen and the driver's window. So I got out and took the pole out to let him get out, and then we'd hit an upright pole as well. You can see behind Patrick, you can see the fence with those thick upright poles, and so there was a fire in the engine bay. We had to put that out, and then we were okay. So that was the story, and then we started noticing that. Just go back to your picture, Patrick. If you look, the back right window was also out, and the glass was lying outside of the car. And then we saw a hole in front of me on the left-hand side of the windscreen. You can see that hole there. So there was a pole that came in through the windscreen between us and out the back window, which we didn't know, but we did see it on the video. So it was very scary afterwards to sort of realize how close things had got, because that pole that's lying there hit the roll cage above Thorsten's head and bounced off his helmet and then out the window. And the other one just went right between us, but literally between us and out the back window. So that was pretty scary, But we didn't know it, we only figured that out later. So it happened, and all of these things happen in a second, and then you stop and we both okay, but it could have been very different. We were very lucky that it turned out that way.
Now, the scary part for us that followed on after you guys was, I clearly remember we saw the accident. I said to Clinton, hey, go slower, because look at those guys. I don't want to end up like that.
Yeah, well, but it was just, we looked at it afterwards, and it was the steering linkage that had broken. There was a rock in the road, but, the roads are full of rocks. You ride over stuff like that the whole time. And I think that just must have been the straw that broke the camel's back, and then so we didn't have steering, and then we went right through the pole, through the fence. So it was afterwards pretty scary, but we were fine. So and the car was pretty badly damaged because we'd hit the upright pole, so the whole front end was very badly damaged. So that was the white BM, and then we rebuilt it into a red car. I saw Patrick had that car behind him, which also didn't end very well.
The reason why these two cars or these two pictures are on here tonight is not to sort of harp the point that you had two big accidents. Rather the fact that this one, particularly in the background now, was an extremely high-speed accident, and both of you walked away from it unharmed. And as we've been chatting all night with the Silver Falcons and everything, accidents unfortunately do happen in the sport. And the good thing is, even a privateer car like yours, being well prepared, should always see you guys walk away from an accident. And that's the point we're trying to make here. Not to say, the Teletubbies had some big accidents. Everybody somewhere along the line have a big accident. The good news is control safety environment. That's where guys like Billy Thorpe comes in. They look at these type of things to put this all in place. Not only for a safe car, but in the background, you'll have an ambulance on standby. You'll have all the medical personnel on standby, and it's a well-oiled machine on the day.
Well, and there's a rally car coming in every 2 minutes, so and everybody stops. If there's an accident like this, the guy stops. So there's somebody with you very quickly. Unless you disappear over a cliff and nobody knows you've gone off. But that accident in the red car, we were also next to the road, and everybody stops and checks that we're okay. We've got our green board to show that we were okay, so then they can carry on. But it's good to know that all the safety stuff is there. And like Major Tangana said, when you're strapped into the car, as they are in the plane, we're strapped in the car, you can't move either. You can just move, reach what your hand can reach. You can't stretch any further or do anything. And all the safety stuff in the car saved us, particularly in the red car, because that was a high-speed roll. And the seats saved us, the seat belts saved us, the roll cage saved us, the car, everything. We got out of that accident fine. You can see what the car looks like. So all those safety things really worked very well.
Even the Teletubbies survived on the rear spoiler.
Yeah, no, he was also there. You can see him on the back there. He's hanging on there for dear life on the back there.
Billy, great to see you back on the air again. I've got to touch on this up. You're the man that's really growing grey before each event, because you're the man putting this all together. It's an enormous effort behind the scenes. It's nice on the day to see the 1920 cars going through the stages and enjoying all the action that happens. But you have a few sleepless nights before we get there. Give the viewers an idea as to what it takes to put an event like this together.
Yeah, Patrick. Look, it starts about 10, 12 weeks before the event actually starts, where you start planning what you want to do, where you want to go, where you're going to have your services, parks and stuff like that. And then you got to start approaching the farmers and, chat to them, ask them what roads can be used, what parts of it we can't use. All depends what time of the year it is, because they move their sheep around or their cattle around. So you got to play with whatever roads are available. And obviously for safety reasons, there's no way we can double up on a piece of road. So yeah, once you've chatted to the farmers and they agree with what roads you're allowed to use, you start in your head plotting the thing together and then put it down on paper and draw up a bit of map. End of the day, try and reduce the distance that the competitors have to travel between one stage and another, to and from service parks. Yeah, and then get the farmers to do all the permission forms for you, which is required by MSA. All that information gets handed to the Department of Transport, and that's about 6 weeks before the event. You then get a permit from them, which gets handed back to MSA with your map and where you want to go, all the permissions. And then you think you're done, and then you're not. Then you've got to start with all the other behind the scenes paperwork, all your medical compliance, hospitals that need to be contacted, all your COVID regulations that we've got to deal with now. And then like I've had problems in the last week where the rain has been so bad that some roads have been damaged in it. The farmers are repairing it. But yeah, it becomes a bit of a problem. You're either sitting with dust in railing or you're sitting with wet roads. Both is fun. But this one has been a bit of a challenge because of all the rain that the Portable area has had over the last 2 weeks. And hopefully the water splashes will be nice when the guys get there on Saturday.
Well, if you see in the background on that collage of plinths, you'll see a few of the cars going through the water splash. The previous time we visited the area, and it was beautiful. But
the other way.
It's great to see another event coming off. There you can see Llewellyn Jones in the middle there doing a proper splash. It actually got a Teletubby wet, but you can explain that later. Billy, you've got Mark coming on. The Teletubbies returning as Zero Car. Now, to most of the viewers out there, they never see the Zero Car when they look at a rally on TV. You only see the cars competing. But it's an important role that they fulfill on each event. So either yourself or Mark, next question for you. Please put the listeners in, or viewers, inform them what is the function of a Zero Car on a rally like this.
Yeah, Patrick, Zero Car is very, very important. The arrowing team goes out beforehand. They put up all the route markings, and then they do road closure and stuff like that as well. In between them doing that to when the event starts, you do have public on the road. Farmers that is obviously still busy on their lands. And it becomes a problem if you just assume that it's right and we let the first rally car go. So Zero Car normally runs about 15-20 minutes before the first car hits the road. Their crucial job is to make sure that before the stage starts, all the marshals are in position, the ambulance is there, the radio communication guys are there. And when they ride through the route, they're checking that the road closures are closed off properly. There's no animals in the road. Sometimes we find spectators still on the roads trying to find their spot where they want to sit. So they're making sure that the road is 100% safe. Everything is in place before we allow the first car to go. And it is extremely crucial.
Mark, you are used to going through the stages flat out. Now you've got to actually get that driver to really listen to you this time. That's normally a big job of these, because drivers don't listen to you under normal circumstances. The experience you're going to have on Saturday, or it's something different?
Well, I mean, having rallied for a number of years, I do know, as Billy said, how important it is. We've even found animals in the stage, or people in the stage, and it's scary because you're coming around there flat out, and suddenly there's something that shouldn't be there. Even after the Zero Cars have gone through, that can still happen. But that's exactly as he said, that is our job, to go through and make sure that the stage is clear. And we have to clear the stage and be out of it before the first car will start. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I think having, the experience is going to be of having been in a rally itself, to go and do this will be very nice, because you do understand what you're doing this for. But I'm looking forward to it. And trying to keep Mr. Pai under control will be interesting. Hoping he's not going to try and go through the stage faster than the rally cars themselves. But it's going to be good, and we're really looking forward to being back in the mix and seeing everybody again, and getting up early and in the cold and all that. That's all the fun stuff of being involved in rallies.
Hopefully, it's not the rental you get taking, eh? Those cars are the best Zero Cars.
Mark, we're going to go slightly off the topic here, but you're also involved in another interesting form of motorsport, if I can call it that, even though this is more regularity. In other words, it's being on time rather than being the quickest. But it entails a very special element in your life, because your dad won the first commemorative Durban Johannesburg motorcycle run, and you happen to be on the back of that very same machine, doing the same event now.
Yeah, so that's a very different thing, but I think once you're into motorsport, then anything that you can sort of keep going is interesting. But so that is an interesting story. The DJ is an event that's held for old motorcycles. The youngest is 1936, so anything 1936 and older can take part. And there was a race between Durban and Joburg that they stopped in 1936 because it was getting too hairy, or the guys were just going on the public roads. It was very unsafe, so they stopped it. And then in 1970 they had it as a commemorative event, as a regularity rally format. for these old motorbikes. And my dad had a 1936 Royal Enfield, and he used to compete in regulatory rallies at that stage, him and my mom. And so he took part in the first one, and he was very fortunate to win it in 1970, and he won it again in 1975. And then I've had the bike for a number of years and decided that I'd like to do the one in 2020, which is 50 years after the first one, the first event, and the one that he won. So we fortunately got the bike going. It hadn't run for about 25 years, and we got it up and running and managed to compete last year and finish the event, which was really great. So very special events in these motorbikes. There are some such beautiful old motorbikes. It was really
the good news is that the riders don't have to be pre-36.
No.
And you actually competed against a very interesting family by the name Binder.
Yeah, last year with COVID and the MotoGP that sort of got put on hold, they were here, and their dad Trevor has a number of bikes, and so they all took part. It was really nice to meet them. These guys that you've always heard about and look up to, and we met them and we could chat to them, and they helped us. At night when we were working on the bikes, they're all chatting and everybody's helping everybody, and they're part of that. They're not too good to not be involved with everybody. So it was really nice having them around and stuff. And I can at least say that I beat them, that this was a regulatory event. It wasn't flat out. So they're not so good at going slow.
A winner's a winner. You'll take it any way you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
Billy, we've touched on two elements here now, regularity and out-and-out speed. Rally combines both. In other words, there are sections where you go absolutely flat out from start to finish. Then there are sections where you have to abide by all rules and regulations. Tell the viewers how that fits together, because it doesn't really make sense when you say it.
Yeah, Patrick, we always used to call it the Loasian section. Now it's called the road section. So when the competitors leave the start of the event, they're actually riding on a full public road until they get to the actual stage where the racing starts. That is done on private property. So there we can race. We don't have to worry about the public. But when you're on the public road, you have to abide by all the laws of the road, speed, everything. The timing is worked out very, very carefully, that they give you ample time to travel from the start to a stage or in between the stages, so that we know that the guys are not going to be chasing. All you want is a traffic officer telling you, hey, your rally cars have been chasing down the road. And it just causes problem and more headaches to event that you don't want. But yeah, now the timing of these events are worked out very carefully to make sure that the guys are not chasing. If there is somewhere along the line a problem, you normally get to know when the first car gets to the start of the stage and they say to the timing's a bit tight, or there's a problem, or there's been an accident on the road and there's a hold up. Then the guys don't get penalized for being there late. We adjust their time accordingly, as long as there's a valid reason for it. Because everything is based around timing for the whole event.
And maybe just for the sake of the audience also, Billy, who's the judge of that? Who decides? What is the rules? Maybe just touch on the job of the COC, and then also just the white book, as we call it.
Yeah, look, once the event starts, the clerk of the course takes over. And if anything gets reported to him, he would obviously investigate it. He does have a MSA steward and a second steward available to him if they have to obviously sit down and have a meeting or put inquiry or something about it. But the stewards keep themselves very neutral. The COC should as well, until he gets all the information and before he makes a decision on what to do, if there's any penalties to be applied. but it's strictly done via the white book. Everything is laid out very, very neatly inside there, so you know exactly what to do. But yeah, it's penalties is something you never want to give to anybody if they misbehave. But yeah, these things do happen, and I know penalties have been issued out before for road issues where the guys have been speeding or not stopping at a stop street. That's happened before. But
we've
the
also
COC controls all that.
Something
We've
else
also
that,
fallen foul of penalties in the past, so yeah, it is real.
Yeah.
there's a funny word that comes to light, which is also not commonly known to the audience outside there, and that is a park fermé, since Mr. Mark Palmer brought that up now. Cars are put into a park fermé for what reason? And Mark, you can possibly explain what happened there.
Well, the cars, in the beginning of the event, the cars are all scrutineered, which means they are checked to make sure that they comply with all the safety requirements and all the rules and stuff like that. And from there, they go into a locked area. Park fermé is a locked park area. And you're not allowed to do anything to the car when it's in there. In fact, in a lot of cases, you're not even allowed to go near the car, which was what happened with me. In our first year of rallying, we actually drove past the place that was the Toyota garage in Somerset West, and cars were all parked there, and I had left my cell phone in the car, so I jumped the barrier, ran and got it out of the car, and we were seen, and that led to us being disqualified. It was a national event, and it was overnight after the first day, and so we were disqualified, which was devastating for me, but you learn the hard way. So park fermé is, it is very important because it means the cars have been checked, and nobody can then mess with them or change anything with the car until they actually start competing in the event.
The sport has evolved quite a bit, Billy, over the years. Back in the day, you would see the service crews chasing after the car stage by stage with their own servicing. In the modern era, you have service parks. What is the goal with that, and how does that benefit the sport in general?
Patrick, the park, or shall I say service parks, came out a few years ago because the rallies became a little bit more compact, and it's always an issue to find an area where the service vehicles can go, park safely, and your rally cars can come in and be serviced and move off again. But that was years ago when we were traveling further distances with the rallies. Years ago, you used to have 18, 19 stages. Those days are unfortunately gone. Rallies are compact. It's either 3 or 4 stages run twice. So they seem to be quite close to one another, which allows you then to have a central point for all the service vehicles. It's a service park. They're actually timed in and out of the service park. It's better control, and it works for the environment we're in now. I just wish one day we could get back to the good old days where we had plenty stages, and the service vehicles can move around. They also get to see more when they're moving around, but unfortunately it's service park these days, and that's how we have to control it.
Everything is run by a time and distance schedule. And on Saturday, if you could give the audience some idea as to procedures on the day, we're going to have the event open with the soloist at 09:15 from Langemanweg. It's about a 13-minute flight, they say, to Portugal for a bit of a spectacular opening to the event. And then you have 2 veteran controls, if I can put it that way, chance better than saying they're moving on in age. But Lance and Rosemary can live with that. And of course, she's known as the Jelly Baby, Tony. And hopefully the guys will be leaving the showgrounds with some jelly babies intact this time.
Hope we get some too.
Yeah. But
You're going to make the Teletubbies wait now for the jelly babies before they leave.
You know, everybody's laughing now, but I think we all respect the fact that in the days when we ran rallies through the night, it was always a great moment when somewhere in the middle of nowhere, it's cold, you're tired, and the sand comes through the window, and you get a jelly baby or two to motivate you for the next stage coming up, and that would be Rosemary doing the control. Many of the controls are almost, they do become friends of all the competitors. And it's a great relationship that develops over the years with these controls. They're essential to make your event either a pleasure or a misery, depending on whether you behave or not. But the controls are very, very important as well to the event. And with the service park or the new modern era, that's possibly a fortunate element of it. But you need less controls to run the event.
Yes, Patrick. The way we try and plan the rallies these days is you would have, for instance, 2 stages run. Then they would go in service, and they would go out and run those 2 stages again. And then they would come back for lunch break. That would then allow us to move your start and finish marshals with the radio guys over to the second leg of the rally, which is after the lunch break, and give them enough time that they can set up and be ready for the second half of the rally to run. Years ago, when obviously we had 16, 17 stages, you needed a lot of man force, and the guys were spread so wide. All over the place. The funding is just not there to do it these days. So we try and plan the rallies and time it so that we've got enough time to move marshals from the first section to the second section of the rally so that they're there in time.
Saturday, the central focal point for the event will be at the portable showgrounds. We'll have the 2 displays, 9:15, 14:45. Cars will leave from the showgrounds at 9:30 to actually go and do the first 2 stages. What effect does it have, as you quite rightly said now, 2 stages consecutively, no service in between? So there's got to be a bit of a planning element from the competitor side. They need to save on tires and look after the cars in the first stage so they complete the second one without losing any time.
Exactly.
No, that doesn't happen. Patrick has been out of the game for too long, first of all. Second of all, I've got a tip for Patrick. When you clock out of the service park, there's an elderly gentleman in a wheelchair and his wife. Do not cross their board. And Patrick, the guys do not plan on tires per stage. That is unheard of.
Yeah, well, I wonder if we're speaking through experience here now, Cliff.
Yes. That's for sure. You befriend that couple, Patrick. They are on top of it, eh? The one watch you as the car moves and the other one rides. And if you cross that line, that's tickets.
Okay, now you're starting a whole new ball game now. Because now Billy's got to explain what a hamburger board is. And he's going blank on me now, so he's going to ignore it and say he doesn't know what it is. Billy, you look. Is that stalemate on your side?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Patrick.
You've got to explain to us what a hamburger board is.
What a hamburger board is. You know, I've been in a rally car. I organize the roads. I don't worry about a hamburger board. I don't know when last I've seen one of them.
Well,
I know it's all to do about the boards before you start the stage.
Yep.
That's not my job on the event to sort that out. I sort out the roads.
You better watch out. Sean's going to come on now and say, that's why his rallies never worked out, because you didn't know what a hamburger was.
No, that's the navigator's job to know what borders what.
I'm disappointed, Billy. Who taught Jason then? And he's sitting with Sean now.
He had to learn the hard way like I had to learn. You go with a kamikaze, you learn the hard way.
The encouraging thing about this weekend, we've got 19 cars that's going to start the rally on Saturday, which is great. But give us some idea. We've got a lot of family involvement in this sport. You were parcel of the Jones clan. There's now 3 of them driving, all in Subarus. This should be an interesting showdown this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. 3 Rangers in 3 Subarus. I can see Owen going to start giving his dad a hard time. I think his dad shouldn't want such a car for him yet. Sean should have retired first and then given Owen the Subaru to ride.
I think after this rally, Sean is retiring. So if anybody is up for Scooby, now's the time to put it.
We can now say that there's a fast Jones, a wild Jones, and a young Jones.
No, and Farmer Jones.
But I think one of our viewers, Abdurrahman Amley, he can really brag about family involvement. I think it was an all-car rally. They set some kind of a record. I don't know whether it's official or not, but they had an enormous amount of family members involved in the rally. And in fact, there will be 5 Amleys in this event. Initially, there was 4 of them. So I said, well, they certainly put a different perspective on the term 4 cousins.
4 cousins. But one of the cousins is kamikaze. So you mentioned kamikaze earlier.
But it's a great aspect of the sport. There's a lot of family involvement. And if you're not part of the family by name, you become part of the rally family. And I think that's something that I always treasure about the sport. Because over the years, you get to know a lot of people, you get to experience a lot of interesting things. And at the end of the day, this group really relies on one another to make a success of an event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this weekend is going to be it's going to prove a few theories. And Keenan Sassmans has got married, and I think John is about to get married. So they say when you get married, it gets slower. So we'll have to watch the times how John and Keenan is doing this weekend.
Unfortunately, also sadly, we bid a fond farewell to 3 ralliers this week as well, in Les Farson, Lapis Lapaskachny, and Gerald Besserson, which is sad always. Those guys gave us a lot of pressure in their days. Gerald has the distinction of winning the final event he ever took part in the Western Cape in November 1980 in his Toyota. Always something of a mystery to me, that man, in the sense that he sort of came in, did it all, and disappeared. And actually did exceptionally well in rallies on nationals and in the Western Cape. Les Farson was a character of note, and it was great to see him in the Western Cape in a variety of vehicles, always an enthusiast, always a smile on the face. Lapis Lapaskachny, you only have to mention the Mazda 323 with rotary motor, and you've got visions of a very spectacular motor car with a very spectacular driver. Thanks for what you meant to the sport, and it's always sad to greet these people.
Indeed.
Okay.
But let's look to the positive side. Let's go make some memories this coming Saturday, and it'll certainly be a good day. The weather looks promising. In fact, it must look so promising that we can have a massive formation of aircraft coming over later in the afternoon. And hopefully Billy will still be smiling by the end of the day, and nobody's going to give him more grey hair. And the Teletubbies will keep the road smooth and clean at the front of the field.
Yep, we'll lay the way.
Excellent.
We're really looking forward to seeing everybody, and we're looking forward to a great idea.
Yeah, it's going to be a good event, guys. It's going to be a good one.
Yep.
Buddy, any advice to the competitors regarding the event on Saturday?
I got one piece of advice. Whoever's going to be first on the road, enjoy sweeping the roads. It's not going to be fun sweeping those roads.
I think Winston nominated himself. He put his hand up last time.
We should have a comment.
You can imagine all that farm machinery and that's been over those roads. So yeah, there's tons of marbles all over the place. Whoever's going to sweep is going to have fun.
Oh, we'll have fun too then, can you imagine?
We've had a lot of comments here from
your vehicle's too slow, man. Don't worry. I shouldn't say that.
You shouldn't say that. No, don't challenge him. Don't challenge him.
We've seen a lot of comments from senior members of the sport, as in Nigel Dodgen, Abdurrahman Amley, Mike Nathan, and they've got a lot to say here in the background. So maybe we should swing that around and say, well, chaps, you've got a lot to say, but there's quite a few old elderly gentlemen taking part in this event this weekend, so you better come and join them.
I was going to say something about Marnie's comments. I mean, really, you know. Anyway.
I'm so glad you referred to him as a senior. He's not going to hear the end of this.
No. I want to see how much hair he's got.
Chaps, I think it's time we call it a night. There's a lot of preparation to be done for the weekend. And behind the scenes, Byron Knight, thank you very much for your time tonight. This podcast is a little bit out of schedule, but we had to try and fit it in before the event leading up to the Portable Rally. Thank you ahead of time to CPMCC, Robert Moll, and Billy Thorpe. I don't think anybody truly appreciates the effort you put in behind the scenes. Anybody that has ever organized a rally will be shaking their head now and say, no, nobody ever appreciates what you do. But I believe that we can speak on behalf of all the competitors when we say they certainly do appreciate what you're doing. I wish this pandemic would take a hike now so we can get the spectators back again, because at the end of the day, that's why people like Etienne Malherbe and Thorpe Pai like to swing the tail of their rear-wheel driven vehicles. It's not only just to put a grin on their own faces, but to entertain the spectators at the side of the road as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, and best of luck to Patrick. Patrick and all the team. Patrick has to get all the rust off, so it's going to be interesting. I'll hear the excuses on Sunday.
If you combine the two names, you get Mull Mark. But please, let's make it clear now, the Mull side is behind the steering wheel.
The Mull Mark team.
But yes,
good luck to everybody.
Looking forward to the experience. Thank you, guys. We'll hopefully be back on air sooner rather than later if we can keep Clint in the country long enough. But there's a World Championship event in Africa coming up soon.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people that we want to speak to. Thank you for the support of the program, and all the best till next time.
Okay. Good night.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.